Good afternoon, folks. What's going on today? Welcome to Big Al's Eats. Today I'm going to put together some gumbo. Going to do some South Georgia, Louisiana style gumbo. And I'm making this a little different than everybody else. All those gumbo recipes, people make them their own. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm going to be doing a chicken and alligator sausage gumbo. And I think what I'm going to call this is chicken back gumbo. The other day we had a big cookout, and I had cooked 25 chickens. And I cut those chickens up into pieces, after they were cooked. And I wasn't going to serve the back, so I took the backs, and as most of you may know, on a chicken back, they have what they call an oyster. The oyster is just a thumb-sized piece of meat that's real tender, real flavorful. It's a dark meat, but it's on the back end of the chicken back, back there around the hind end, if you know what part of the territory I'm talking about. So I have in this container here 25 oysters, chicken oysters, and that's what we're going to use. And then I have this alligator sausage I'm going to put in, and I've got all the rest of the ingredients out here. I've got to make a roux. Right now I have some chicken bouillon cooking over there. Not chicken bouillon, it's chicken broth. I've got it cooking, and I'm getting ready. What I'm going to do next is make a roux, and that's going to take about 20 minutes. So let's quit talking and get to roux-ing. So y'all stick around. We're going to show you step by step how to make this red bone gumbo, chicken back gumbo. Y'all stick around. All right, to start this roux, I'm going to put about 3/4 of a stick of real butter in this skillet. I'm going to melt this butter down and add flour to it. We're going to start the process of making a roux. So we'll let this melt down, and I'll get the flour, and we'll get started. I've got that butter melted. Next step, I'm going to put about 1/2 cup of flour into this melted butter. And I would recommend when you're making a roux, use unsalted butter. Unsalted butter tends not to brown as quickly as salted butter. So I'm just going to eyeball this and put about 1/2 cup, maybe not quite 1/2 cup, and we'll stir it around and see how we're doing with it. The recipe I use, it calls for exact measurements, but I'm not doing that. If it's too thin, what I'll do, add a little bit more flour. If it's too thick, I'll add a little bit more butter. But right now, we're just going to start stirring, and we're going to stir constantly. And this looks like what I've added is going to be just right. So I'm going to go through the process now for about 10 or 15 minutes of doing nothing but stirring this roux. Flour and butter. You don't want to do this too fast. You don't want to burn it, and do not walk away from it. You will burn the roux, then you will have to start all over again. So y'all bear with me. We're making a roux. As you can see, this roux is starting to darken up a little bit. I'm going to let this keep going. I'm going to keep stirring until this becomes a chocolate brown. I want a dark roux when I make the gumbo. So we'll be here a little while longer stirring. Y'all bear with us. We've got that roux ready to go. Now I'm going to chop up some onion and bell pepper. I'm using 1/2 of yellow and 1/2 of a red bell pepper. We're just going to cut it in little slices, chop it, finely chopped, and then we'll chop up 1/2 of an onion. All right, just got to do a little rough chop. We're going to put this in the roux, and saute it a little bit in that roux until it becomes a little bit tender. Like I say, just do a little rough chop on it. Don't have to be perfect. And now we'll do half of this onion. Again, we're going to do a rough chop on this onion. Just cut it in half. Make some slices through it and then chop it. And this Weeby knife, Weeby fillet knife, it makes short work of it. Very nice knives. And now what we're going to do, we're going to add this onion and bell pepper to the roux that we've prepared. And now we're going to add the bell pepper and the onion to the roux. And I'm just going to let this go till the onion becomes a little bit translucent and the bell peppers get tender. So we'll be stirring this around for about 10 minutes. I've got the onions and peppers ready to go now. What I've done, you can see the color of it right there. That's a chocolate color. I've transferred it to its final pan, and now we're going to add the chicken broth. So I want to bring the temperature up a little bit. And I'm going to introduce the chicken broth into this, and it's going to thicken up quite a bit. So again, we stir. The biggest thing about making gumbo is you have to stir it. Do not walk away. All right, that's coming to a little sizzle there. I'm going to slowly add in some chicken broth. I'm going to bring this to a boil, let it get incorporated. And I will add some more chicken broth to it. We're going to add chicken broth to it till it gets to a soupy consistency, you know, semi-thick, you know what I mean? So this is just another process, you know. Again, we stir. I just want to make sure I get all of it incorporated together, and I don't want any clumps of flour and onion and pepper stuck together in there. You add a little bit more broth now. Just add a little bit at a time. We're going to add some seasoning to this in just a few minutes, so I'm going to stir, get the rest of this incorporated in, and then we'll start doing some seasoning. We're going to add the layers of flavor. Okay, now we're ready to start adding the layers of flavor. We're going to put the seasonings in. And I've got my little recipe over here. I want to make sure I don't forget anything. First thing I need to do is add some, I was going to use garlic cloves, but just so happened I didn't have any, but I do have smoked garlic powder. And I'm going to put, let's see how much it says in here. 6 cloves. So I'm going to put about 2 teaspoons of smoked garlic powder in there. There we go. Set that to the side. Let's see, the next thing we're going to add 2 to 3 tablespoons of Cajun seasoning. And I've got a generic Cajun seasoning here. I'm going to add a couple of teaspoons in there. It calls for 2 to 3 teaspoons. There's 2. We can always add more, but it's hard to take it out. All right. 2 teaspoons of dried thyme. It looks like thyme, T-H-Y-M-E. but it's called thyme. And it calls for 2 teaspoons of that. There's 1. There's 2. All right, got that in there, set that to the side. Couple of bay leaves. I got a couple of bay leaves, gonna add that in there. And a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I'm gonna put about a 1/4 teaspoon in there because I have some more Cajun seasoning that I'm gonna add, and it does have some heat to it. So we just put a couple of dashes in there, set that to the side. And I've got this garlic blend. It's a Cajun seasoning, and I'm gonna add about a teaspoon of that in. And this does carry a little bit of heat. So we wanna do that cautiously. And let's see, kosher salt. Yes, I've got some smoked kosher salt here, and it calls for 1½ teaspoons. I'm going to start out with 1 teaspoon. Like I say, we can add more later. And I've got some smoked paprika. I'm going to put a few dashes of that in. To taste. Also, I have got some diced tomatoes. I'm going to add 1 can of diced tomatoes to that. And I've also got that celery we're talking about. I was kind of sauteing it, and I'm going to add that right on top of all that. That's got all the ingredients in there. So I'm going to stir that around, put a lid on it, let it go to a simmer. And next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get the alligator sausage. I'm going to get it chopped up, and I'm going to check those chicken oysters. That's right. I'm using nothing but chicken backs. And on every chicken back, it has a little piece of meat, a little bit bigger than the size of your thumb on the back end of that chicken back. They call it an oyster. I have got probably 3/4 of a pound of those oysters I'm going to put in here. They're not oysters from the sea. They're oysters from the barnyard pimp, y'all. Chicken backs. All right. Let me get my stuff together over here and we'll do some chopping. Y'all stick around. It's getting good and it's smelling. Oh, that smell. Y'all stick around. Okay, what we're going to do now, we're going to slice up this alligator sausage. Really flavorful alligator sausage. Some of the best sausage I've ever eaten. Just going to slice it in little bite-sized pieces, thinly sliced pieces, and we're going to add that directly into the gumbo. So we'll get this all sliced up, get it ready to add, and then we'll work on the chicken. Just hit that chicken, those chicken oysters, just a little rough chop. Okay, we got those sausage cut up in little bite-sized pieces, and now we're going to do the chicken. And I wanted to show you what I was talking about when I say the oyster. It's just a little piece of meat like that, and there's 2 pieces on the chicken back. And that right there is the most flavorful part of the chicken. Even on the Boston butt, they have a section of the Boston butt called the money muscle. And it's right in the center there. Then you can deconstruct that Boston butt and dig that money muscle out. That is the prime piece of meat, just like this chicken back oyster. Now what I want to do to these, I'm just going to give them a real rough chop. They will cook down some, but I just want to make sure that we're getting little bite-sized pieces. That way when you have a bowl of that gumbo, you don't have to worry about trying to chop it up because you're getting too big of a piece of meat. So like I say, just gonna rough chop this, and then we're gonna add it to the gumbo here in about 30 seconds. This gumbo is smelling so good, y'all. Time to put the sausage in. I went ahead and transferred it to this little saucepan. We'll just dump it in. Nothing to it but to do it. And then we got all the chicken that we've got roughly chopped. The oyster of the back, chicken back oysters. This is going to be so good. The hard part's over with now. All we got to do now, get this set on simmer. And man, I mean the color. The color's looking so good right now. All it's got to do is cook for a couple of hours on a real low simmer, just barely boiling, just barely. And about an hour and a half, 2 hours, it'll be time to eat. I want to show you a close-up of this. Let me get it stirred around and I'll move the camera in closer. We'll get a close-up. I can't wait to put this over some rice. It's going to be goat lipping, y'all. Goat lipping, I tell you. Okay, folks, check this out. That looks so good right there. I'm going to taste this in about 30 minutes. Give it time to blend together a little bit. Let those flavors meld together. I'm going to taste it for seasoning. If needed, I'll re-season at that time. So y'all stick around. We're not through. We got to cook this for an hour and a half, 2 hours. All right, this gumbo is about ready to go. I've got to put the okra in there, and I'm going to put a little parsley in there. I'm going to put a tablespoon or so of parsley in. That'll add another layer of flavor to it. Put the top back on that. Let's stir it around. It's sure looking good. Tasted it a few minutes ago, and it was very good. The seasonings in there were just perfect. Didn't have to add anything else to it. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna take these bay leaves out, because all I want to do now is get it finished. I got one more bay leaf in here somewhere. And I got to get it fished out. It's hiding what it's doing. Oh, here it is. It was stuck to the side. All right, we got that out. Now let's put the okra in. I've got okra that we vacuum sealed. This 8/14 of 23. I put this in the vacuum sealer, and this okra looks like we just chopped it up. Those vacuum sealers work so good. And this is still frozen. It's thawed just a little bit, but not as much as I would like. So now we'll just stir this up in there and we're gonna let this cook about 15 minutes, and we're gonna take it up and serve it over some rice. So y'all stick around. We ain't quite through yet. We got one more segment to go through, but this is some mighty fine gumbo right here. All right, folks, we got it all finished up, brought it in the house. We're getting ready to fix a bowl of this. So let's start out with some rice. We got some jasmine rice that we cooked. Some nice looking rice right there. Nice, fluffy rice. Put a little layer down in the bottom of my bowl. Good looking rice. Smells good too. Now let's get some of this gumbo. It is looking tasty. Got the okra in there. You can smell the okra. It's so good. Get us a bowl full of this. I wonder what the poor folks is eating tonight.
Chicken gumbo.
Chicken gumbo. There you have it. Let's set it right down. Right there, and I'll show you. Let's get a little close up. Let me show you what we got. There you have it. Chicken gumbo with sausage. Got it mixed up in a bowl here with a little rice. Gonna be good. I'm gonna let this cool a little bit, and then we'll take a taste. I ain't no way I'm gonna put this in my mouth right now. That is hot. Y'all stick around. What you say we go in for a little bite right here? I got it cool enough where we can eat it. Oh man. So tasty, so easy to make. Go get you a rotisserie chicken, you know, get you a sausage that you like. You can even add shrimp to this. Shrimp would make it off the chain. You could put fish in it. I mean, whatever you want, you could put in there. But try you some gumbo. You saw the whole video today. Showed you how I made it. I showed you all the seasonings. Get you some, y'all. You'll enjoy it. Cheers from Big Al's Eat. Y'all have a nice day. Okra.